Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be doing an unhaul. We're not reinventing the wheel today, but I needed something a little bit easier to edit and deal with whilst planning like end of the year content, all that kind of stuff. And also I've been feeling real purgy recently. I've been wanting to get rid of some things, purge some more books, and there was a small stack that I've been holding on to a while and I just added a bunch to it. And now we're going to unhaul. It has been a running theme for my channel in the past year of me trying to get my TBR down and dealing with like some of the ramifications of my poor consumerist choices in the past years, and I'm still dealing with it, still have a gigantic TBR. My tastes in books are changing. I'm more and more going towards adult books. This is the first year that I've read more adult fiction than young adult, and I only expect that to grow and continue. This intro was long enough. Let's just get into the books. The first one is New World Rising, Jennifer Wilson. I got this in an owl crate. I believe this is an indie pubbed book, and that's why I held on to it for a while, because I would like to read books published by indie authors when I'm not dealing with the ramifications of a 200 plus book TBR. So this book I'm just not interested in. It's not a book I picked for myself, so it's going to move on. A couple of these books I kind of wanted to keep, but I've seen really lackluster reviews for, and that's why I've gotten rid of them. One of them specifically being To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is, again, a book that I picked up during a Book Outlet box sale. I don't support Book Outlet anymore, which I've made, I think, very clear, but essentially when you went to the physical bookstore like once or twice a year, you would just get to fill a box of books for 35 bucks, and it was great. But also a lot of those books that I grabbed, I have subsequently gotten rid of. So even if I did like Book Outlet, I probably wouldn't be going to that sale again because it just did damage to my TBR, and I rarely found books that I was absolutely super interested in. That is a tangent. I'm also getting rid of Long May She Reign by Rhiannon Thomas. This book sounded really cool. It basically follows a girl who is like, I don't know, 37th in line or 16th in line to be like the crown ruler, but then there's like this mass poisoning or something, and she then finds herself on the throne. Sounded super cool, but the reviews have been not great, so I'm not going to bother with it. And also I think I have access to the audiobook via Hoopla if it ever struck me to read it. This next one I've been like toying back and forth on because I did really want to read it at one point in time, but that's The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. Fun fact, every time I saw this cover, which you can see here, I was always really confused because it didn't make sense to me that it looked like the moon. It looked like the moon. I would have sworn they were on the moon. I was like, how are they Roman gladiators on the moon? Turns out it's just sand, and I'm really dumb, but it's sand and it's got a very bluish tinge hue to it, and I'm just real stupid. I really wanted to read this a few years ago, like Roman gladiators, vicious stuff, but again, reviews have been lackluster. That's the one I think I'm the most torn up about on all of these. I will also be getting rid of This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada, and I think this is a YA sci-fi that deals with like chromosomes and genes and stuff. I wasn't particularly interested when I grabbed it, so I can pass it along. Although this one does have pretty good reviews, I just shouldn't have picked it up. I'm really bummed to be getting rid of this book because I looked forward to it for so long and I thought I was going to absolutely love it, but the author has kind of proven himself to be a shitty person, and it's really soured me on reading any books by him, and that's We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. He has come under fire or critique a little bit for his most recent release. You can look it up if you're interested, and the way he chose to handle the situation was, I do believe that you can engage with someone's fiction without like specifically supporting the author in certain cases, but every time I thought about reading it after, like how he chose to react and do things, I just was no longer interested, which is a bummer. There are a couple books that I have read in this stack that I just either thought were really lackluster or will choose to never reread them. One of them being The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I gave this 3 stars. It was okay, but it's a historical fiction that kind of had maybe a fabulous thing going on, but I didn't like the way it ended, the execution of it. A book that I purchased somewhat recently, I think I purchased it at the end of 2019, is The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock by Imogen Hermes Goar. Literary fiction, kind of a splurge purchase at Book Outlet. Oh my god. I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm kind of want to dip my toe into literary fiction, but this leans very much so in the historical part of that. I believe when I purchased it, I thought there was a fabulous element to it, and I don't think there is anymore, so no thanks. This next book I'm a bit embarrassed to talk about because when I purchased it, and for the past few years, I have thought it is a different book. So that was an embarrassing realization, but it's The Nix by Nathan Hill. I don't actually know what this one is about. It says The Nix is a mother-son psychodrama with ghosts and politics. I just read like some of the back blurbs. No thanks, not for me. But when I purchased this, however long ago that was, I'm not sure, I was under the impression that this was The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. Don't know how I confused the two. I have no idea. Maybe this unhaul is really revealing that I'm truly a very stupid person, because some of these purchases, yikes. This one, I'm struggling with getting rid of The Careful Undressing of Love by Corianne Haydu. There's a couple reasons why I struggled with getting rid of this. It was one of the very first books that I saw like super positively reviewed on Goodreads that like really sounded cool. Back in like 2015, 2016, I was like, ooh, sounds good. But then the reviews after that have been not so great, and I've really lost my interest in reading it. And then I struggled to get rid of this because I think the cover is so nice. I will also be getting rid of, finally fucking getting rid of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I didn't particularly like this book when I read it. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I'm not interested really in anything else Rainbow Rowell is writing or her backlist. I don't really care for. And again, another petty reason why I chose to keep it for so long was that I love this color. It's such a nice color, and my contemporary YA books are in a rainbow, and it's just like a perfect color to put with blue and green. Petty? Yeah. Again, I just decided to get rid of some really nice looking contemporaries finally. The Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Bernard. Sorry for blinding you here. This is a YA contemporary between, or like romance between, I think, someone who is deaf and then the other character has selective mutism. Don't know how well the disability rep has been reviewed. I've seen some mixed things, and I just don't care to read any of Sarah Bernard's work anymore. I'm getting incredibly specific with the contemporaries that I choose to read now, and I don't want to read it and be like, oh, 3 stars, blah, because I don't love YA contemporary all the time, or most of the time, so I have to be very specific in my choices. A book I read this year and liked but didn't love was The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord. I was expecting to absolutely love this book. I didn't. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. It deals with a girl whose mother has cancer, and she goes away to this summer camp for like troubled youth, and she kind of expands her horizons. I didn't love the ending. I thought it was weird and abrupt. And I like the fact that this confronts kind of a sheltered girl's privilege and perspective in life. That was good. I think this was good. I'm just never going to reread it. Ooh, I'm finally getting rid of this book because I fucking hated it, but I spent a lot of money on it, so I held on to it for too long. And that's On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. This is like a women's fiction, general fiction love story, and I really like the author as a human being. She's someone I follow on YouTube. This was her first foray into writing, and I didn't like it. This was probably the worst written book that I read in 2019. Point blank. There were other books I think I disliked more because of certain elements in them. This book, was like horrendously written. I'm sorry. I love you, Carrie, but no thanks. Another one that I think is so pretty, and I don't want to get rid of it because it's pretty. I just don't want to read it, and that's Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I thought I was going to like super want to jump into this book. This is the start of a companion duology to the Kiss of Deception series, The Remnant Chronicles. And I finished The Remnant Chronicles this year, and overall generally liked the trilogy, but I was happy with the way it ended, and I'm not particularly attached to the world to read like on. The reviews haven't been super great, and this is also a sequel series, so usually the reviews should be better because people like your first stuff, and if people don't really like the first thing, they're not really going to continue on, are they? But reviews haven't been amazing. They've been fine, mediocre. Apparently the romance in here is kind of poorly done or just not very compelling, so I don't care. The final things I will be getting rid of is a trilogy that I read the first book and hated it. It's The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I thought I was going to love the first book, and I was supremely disappointed in it. Probably going to be one of my least favorites of the year. I'm so disappointed in the story itself. I didn't like the tone. Our main character, I didn't like the way it was written. I didn't like the casual portrayal of rape and assault that was constantly pervasive in this story, and it was just like way too much. And the story itself, I found it boring, so I'm not going to torture myself. I'm not going to continue on in the series, even though I have the whole series. I'm just not. So that is it for all the books I plan on getting rid of. Let me know down in the comments below. Actually, no. I do this every time. Like, is there a book I should keep? No. These books have to leave. There are so many other books on my shelves that I'm way more excited for. I have a new, like, TBR shelf of books I'm really excited for back here, and a couple of them I've read and just not gonna reread / really didn't like. Well, whatever. Ooh, let me know down below your method of like book buying and purchasing and stuff, because I am doing a lot better, but I'd always love more tips to improve upon that. So yeah, let me know that. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.